WBEE HD2 Rochester and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City, where we have overcast skies. Weather still nonetheless is beautiful here in Rochester in August. We invite you to join us here. 585-866-4326. That is our phone number. We're on 95.7 FM. We are on AM 950. We are inside the Odyssey app, streaming for free. Just punch up WGR Rochester. And if you want to go back and listen to any of our segments or the entire show, it is available for you daily. We're also on YouTube and Twitch. Special hello to everybody watching there. As today on the show, we are back in the groove of football season. You know, if you're a longtime listener to the Sports Bar, Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard. It's been a long day for Matt and everybody on the beat, right? Yeah, you had to head down to the stadium, make sure you beat the traffic there. Some 40,000 people there to see practice today. But let's be honest, it was let's go check out the new stadium, right? Hey, kids, let's go check it out. I know more than one person that went down there today. Joe and Matt Neighbor, from Gates, they went down there. If you went down there today, I'm curious to get your review. You're certainly welcome to join us, 585-866-4326. That's a Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman Line, award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. Back to Matt Perino. He will join us bottom of this hour as he's covering practice. And, yeah, we have a couple of headline stories here today concerning the Buffalo Bills. Just the one guest, which means plenty of time for your calls. We will hopscotch around the sports world as well in hour number 2. And, hey, we'll have Tim's terrible take as well. Keon Coleman, that's a little bit of a surprise. Word kind of got out last night that somebody spotted him at the Erie County Fair in a walking boot. Not ideal. And there he was in a walking boot today. So what this is, and boy, if you thought Sean McDermott was tight-lipped about injuries, Joe Brady is taking it to another level. We're all on the need-to-know basis, and right now we don't need to know. However, national reporter Cameron Wolf reporting that it's a sprained foot and toe. Okay, well, throw in the toe thing. That's a little concerning there, and this happened on a tackle in the win over the Panthers. So it's kind of a bummer because I think Keon Coleman was doing everything you needed to do, not just to get yourself back in good graces, which, honestly, I go back to January. I thought he was in good graces. He was making plays for the team. Just keeping the low profile, going about your work. And, again, you don't need to be wide receiver 1, 2, or necessarily even 3, but can you be that reliable guy that can beat a one-on-one and go get the contested catch? And it seemed like Keon Coleman was carving out. Now, maybe it's much ado about nothing. We'll talk to Matt Perino here in a little bit. But hard right now to say, hey, this is the severity of this injury. Like, of all these injuries now for the Buffalo Bills, hey, Skylar Bell wasn't out there. We're told now, hey, for Connor McGovern, it's week to week. On the positive side today, back at practice, we had a few players that both from the secondary, Maxwell Harrison as well as Cole Bishop. C.J. Gardner-Johnson not out there. For him, I at this point, you know what? You're a vet. We'll see you in September. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now with the injuries for the Buffalo Bills. We will see ones against ones coming up Thursday. Tomorrow, walkthrough that's closed to the media. Then they travel to Cleveland, where they will have the joint practice on Thursday, and it's refreshing. It's smart that, hey, if we're just here to get work in and we're not, finger quote, competing, it'll help us do things that, for example, your Cleveland's defensive line, you've been going at the same offensive lineman how long? Like, let's go at something different where they don't know your moves, right? And for the Bills' offensive linemen, Yeah, you don't know the moves of Jared Verse or whatever. You're going to have ones versus ones. And what is refreshing and smart is that Todd Monken and Joe Brady will get together after practice, and if they're both pleased with what they saw, and I'm going to assume they are, then we're going to just be up front. You're not going to see ones coming up Saturday. It crossed my mind for a hot minute. Do I want to go to Cleveland on Saturday? So I'm not faulting if anybody wants to go, because tickets are $15, can't beat that. And hey, there's an interesting nightlife in Cleveland, right? Stay there, go to the Flats, maybe tack on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or do something else. But I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'll just watch it on TV this Saturday. 585-866-4326 is the number to give us a call. This is Jim Leonard, defensive coordinator, talking about this joint practice coming up on Thursday.
System, and you get guys that have to react on the fly a little bit, because in a practice setting you're going to see more things than you're going to get in a preseason game. That's the biggest thing is can our guys just go out there and play with confidence, react to certain things that they haven't studied, they haven't seen, or they haven't repped for a couple weeks.
Leonard, then, this cuts a little longer. Now, if you were with us last week, Jim Leonard said something normally you don't get in coach speak, meaning, hey, one thing that didn't happen here, tackling last year. I'm paraphrasing here. And like, whoa, okay, well, sure, that was true, but normally you don't want to just tack that onto the previous coaching staff because it is a small league here. Something along those lines, but talking about a player, Terrell Bernard.
He's a student of the game. He's so damn smart. And sometimes you want him to turn his brain off and just go play free and react to what he sees rather than overthink it. That's the biggest thing. It was a little more structured in what he was asked to do in the previous scheme. So it was very much, I see this, I do this, and just getting him to play a little bit more free was probably the number one thing. And if you want to play the way we want up front ahead of him, like, he's going to have to react a little bit more. And that was the number one thing he's had to learn. I think he's doing a great job, all the backers, but him particularly. And you just see the confidence he's having in that ankle, in his body right now. He knows he was playing hurt for a long stretch last year. And when you see a guy like starting to feel healthy and confident and comfortable kind of with where their body is at, you see them play free and fly around and make plays. He's moving well right now.
Jeepers. I'm excited to see this new defense, but my gosh, as a linebacker, don't you have to give yourself, let's say, for example, the half second to say, what am I looking at here? Otherwise, you are going to bite on the play action, or you're going to have guys wide open, or whatever it is. Yeah, we talked to experts before. Like, all right, are we going to go see more plays out the door this year? Maybe. I didn't ever think that Terrell Bernard was one of these guys that, played slow. It's kind of what he's saying there. Tim, can you play this again? So Terrell Bernard, he's saying he's a high IQ player, and I get that. But listen to this again, like saying, hey, he could have even been better in my system last year. Am I interpreting this wrong? This is Jim Leonard today, defensive coordinator on Terrell Bernard.
He's a student of the game. He's so damn smart, and sometimes you want him to turn his brain off and just go play free and react to what he sees rather than overthink it. That's the biggest thing. It was a little more structured in what he was asked to do in the previous scheme. So it was very much, I see this, I do this, and just getting him to play a little bit more free was probably the number one thing. And if you want to play the way we want up front ahead of him, like, he's going to have to react a little bit more. And that was the number one thing he's had to learn. I think he's doing a great job, all the backers, but him particularly. And you just see the confidence he's having in that ankle, in his body right now. He knows he was playing hurt for a long stretch last year. And when you see a guy like starting to feel healthy and confident and comfortable kind of with where their body is at, you see them play free and fly around and make plays. He's moving well right now.
That's funny because, like, if you think of like Terrell Bernard, he's stripping the ball away from Mark Andrews in a playoff game, or hey, I recognize this, I'm dropping back into coverage, and you intercept C.J. Stroud in a game in Houston that could have gone the Bills' way, not this past year, but 2 seasons ago. I think it's just an interesting quote. And if we're going to say, let's take the supremely positive approach to this, right? Put a smiley face on this. What if that is true? What if that is true? And we're going to talk to Matt Perino in a second because kind of along the same lines, like I thought a player that once he figured it out and I recognized this, zip, I'm going to go to the ball, interception against the Saints. That was Cole Bishop. Cole Bishop showed up on the scene last September. And I asked Matt Perino the question a couple weeks ago, like, all right, for Cole Bishop, new system, do we expect a half step back, status quo, or do we expect a step forward? And Matt was very clear. Step forward. Like, this scheme should do Cole Bishop wonders. Again, the very, very positive approach. And if it is high risk, high reward, it's the opposite of what we've seen so far. That the Tampa 2 is everything in front of you, making sure nobody gets behind you, and when something does get behind you, you clutch your pearls. See the Atlanta game, that was what the heck is going on here? And we should just kind of point out, like, okay, that was kind of it for Taylor Rapp, and you'd made some personnel changes and entered Jordan Poyer, and it started to settle down a little bit, right? Crazy to think that Atlanta game, sparked some change. Maybe we do see a player or two get behind the Bills, but then again, maybe we see bigger plays. I thought that was just very interesting that Jim Leonhard once again. It's just ever so slight amount of shade throwing it toward the previous regime that was Sean McDermott. Here's Jim Leonhard talking more about tackling.
As I mentioned last week, go tackle. I thought we tackled pretty well, and to get in a 2nd-and-1 situation and work our way out of it, get a 3-and-out, that was fun to see. But long ways to go. We got a lot to improve on, but at the same time, for them just to have a taste of success here early, hopefully we can build off that.
Yeah, I mean, credit Deon Walker. I think Deon Walker set the tone right away. Back at practice, we talked about Cole Bishop being back at practice, and then Maxwell Harrison. And Harrison's kind of an interesting guy, right? Because we really didn't see it last year. He was hurt at the beginning, hurt at the end. But in between, hey, you make a good play against the Chiefs and we see the potential. This is Leonhard talking about his second-year corner.
I don't think you'll have any issues as far as schematically what we're asking him to do or communication on the field. It's just how fast can they snap back into playing with the right tempo, playing with the right technique. You'd like him to get as many reps as possible just to lock in that technique so it's second nature for him.
That's Jim Leonhard speaking today. So we didn't hear from Joe Brady today, which kind of means of all these injuries that we're hearing, we really don't have any color to it. It's I can tell you what it is, and you're hopeful that these guys are back, and don't get the sense that anything might be in question other than Keon Coleman. If I'm hearing a walking boot now, and how far are we out? Well, let's work our way back. Yesterday was 1 month from the home opener. So we're a little over 3 weeks. It's a short week, remember, for that game in Houston. So, yeah, for Keon Coleman, you're on it. But we'll talk to Matt Perino. One of the questions I have for Matt is, all right, if we don't have Skylar Bell, we don't have Keon Coleman. Khalil Shakir was not out there today. I'm assuming that was veterans rest. And, hey, do you really need to see DJ Moore? Which wide receivers could actually benefit in the spotlight this week? Like, Gonsol's an interesting guy. Is there anybody else? When I went on with Jay Binkley last week, and when the Royals weren't playing in one evening, did that show with him, and he asked about McCole Hardman because, hey, you're a Chief fan, you know the name. I said Hardman's not. I don't think he's making this team. Well, maybe he is. Seems like it'd be him or Sherfield right now at the back end when it comes to special teams, and hard to say if a player isn't available here week one. 585-866-4326. That is the number. As, again, when you go into that stadium, you cannot help but be wowed. And we've talked a lot about, hey, obstructed views and what the Bills are doing about it. But now, I mean, in credit to Tim Graham, the first to point this out, like, wait a second, what is going on with this field? And Dan Fates today on Buffalo Plus, he has I don't know who the player is making the cut, but you just see the cut, and then whoop, big old grass divot goes up. And I can't compare this to my lawn. I mean, what can I compare it to? I'll compare it to the grass field out in Pittsford. It's St. John Fisher. Like, that seemed top-notch. It always has. And I don't recall divots going flying up into the air. Seems like we got a problem with this. But you're the Players Association. This is what you want. This is what you asked for. Well, this isn't what we came to become accustomed to. Hey, we need a grass surface. Let's put this in a short term. Voila. World Cup. And for somebody that watched the World Cup front to end, and I did not. I took in as much as I can. But of all these stadiums that went, turf to grass here out of necessity, out of FIFA requirements, were there any complaints about any of them? I don't seem to recall. Again, I didn't watch every minute. But now this is something that, I'm wondering if the Players Association is monitoring here. Coming off a short week, like you see these divots, you see, video of Joe Brady, tamping down whatever it is. We have a few cuts. This is Christian Benford, who, by the way, we had on the show back in the spring talking about his 47 Hearts Foundation. Christian Benford talking about the grass.
The field was all right to me, but it did have some moments where it was like divoting. It had like a bunch of divots in there, like you had to like stomp on it. I never saw that before. I was just, maybe it's just new field or something. But, I mean, shoot, we grew up on a dirt field, so like you just do one of these and keep it pushing. But I like the field. I like the grass. I like it way better than turf.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the consensus is like, all right, this is great to have it, but it needs a little bit of work. How about a newcomer to the team, Bradley Chubb? Here's Bradley Chubb on the grass.
Get to see what footwork works best in here, get to see how to keep your foot in here. And it's going to come with some trial and error, but at the end of the day, when it's come Thursday night, trying to put the lights down and all that, I feel like we're going to be ready.
Okay, so that's Thursday night, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday when the Steelers come to town. And that'll be something now that everybody's going to be keyed into. Mind you, when you're watching the Bills broadcast, it's the Bills broadcast, right? And I don't know if they're going to go out of their way to talk about this story. This isn't ESPN, CBS, Fox, Amazon, whoever's paying for where they can actually tell you what's going on. They're going to avoid that, I would think, that storyline coming up next Thursday night. Wow. Next Thursday night. Are you kidding me? Tim, how many days are we away from the Bills preseason ending? Tim.
9
yes,
times.
There we go. The button still works here, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That's it. And then, kind of the longest week of the sports year where, yes, we have week 0. And yes, we will enjoy Labor Day. And yes, you will have a fantasy draft or 2 or 3 or 4 in the interim, right? But, the idea that the preseason wraps up early, if they're going to, force feed an 18th game, can we go back to NFL football on Labor Day weekend? I don't think that's ever going to happen. They know we're going to be starving for pro football by the time it arrives. For that Wednesday night game in Seattle, followed by the game on Down Under between the Rams and the Niners. And by the time we get to Bills and Texans week 1, we will be so ready for that game. 585-866-4326. The grass, I'm just wondering, is it as simple as did people roll their lawn? I don't roll my lawn. Some of my neighbors do, but the benefits to that is that does that need to happen? Or do you rip the whole thing out and put something in new? I think it might be too late for that, but how they did that in relative short order at Fisher this summer. If you drove by there, you notice, wait a second, it's late June. Isn't the team coming here? Again, I'm not a lawn expert, but it is a storyline. It was visible for everyone to see here today. So at least the lawn gets you out of talking about obstructive views and what the team should do about that and what legends should have disclosed. 585-866-4326. One other football note is that, and we got lots of football notes, but let me pass this one along. Roger Goodell, commissioner, speaking today, saying that the NFL having a team, meaning a franchise, based outside of the United States is inevitable. I think that the NFL controls its messaging as well as any business, but this one seems a little off the mark, right? Like, okay, say the word inevitable. Death is inevitable. Taxes, it's inevitable. I don't know. Yeah, the layoffs are coming around. It's inevitable. No, like pick another word that's exciting. It makes it sound like, oh, yeah, us going over there, yeah, there's so much money. I guess it's inevitable. That's all he's saying here, basically. It's almost like you're not putting your stamp on this. He's right, by the way. I want to hold off on this. I want to say, oh, I don't want this in my lifetime. The NFL product, we like it the way it is, 32 teams. We don't need another division overseas. We don't need 2 teams in London and 1 in Paris or 1 in Hamburg, whatever you want to put it over there. We don't need another division overseas. But if Roger Goodell says it's inevitable, it's inevitable. Actually, he didn't say overseas. He said outside the U.S. Okay, well, does that mean Toronto can have a team now? I don't care. We got our stadium. We're good. 30 years. Start the clock right now. Here in Western New York. Nothing to worry about. I think we're good. Yeah, I don't get any NFL fan clamoring for football. I guess it's fun. I know a few people that have gone over to London, taken in a game, and they say it's fun. But for now, I don't see this happening anytime soon. Honestly, I don't. I hope I'm right on that. Let's talk to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard. He was at practice today. Shout podcast. He's got thoughts on the Coleman injury and who might this create an opportunity for. My name is Gene Battaglia at WGR Rochester.
Sal Capaccio's Extra Point, Jim Rome, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia. We talk sports while you work and on your ride home. The Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman in a walking boot. According to a national report from Cameron Wolf, it's a foot/toe injury. Cole Bishop, Maxwell Harrison back at practice today. Harrison says he's in a good place.
Just knowing that what this wasn't nowhere close to what I got last year, so being thankful in that regard, and then just honestly doing everything that I can, controlling the controllables, getting the treatments for my body, getting it strong, and I'm just happy I can get back out here.
Next up, a joint practice in Cleveland against the Browns on Thursday. Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard, joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Rochester Red Wings begin a series tonight in Omaha on the Major League schedule. Everything under the lights, including the Yankees getting back Carlos Rodon, starting tonight in Baltimore. Gene Battaglia, the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
For a lot of folks that hadn't seen the stadium, well, I would think that maybe that was just, the reason to go down today, and also to check out the team practicing. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, Shout Podcast joining us. And Matt, as you're pulling into the stadium at, 7 in the morning, what is that like on a Tuesday morning, seeing it full? What was it like today, Matt, going in there? How are you today?
I'm good, man. It was wild. I mean, I expected it to be like close to a game day, and all the parking lots were open, so it was weird getting there and having all the parking lots be full, because I'm usually one of the first ones there. So that was a little bit strange, but it was a cool experience. I mean, 40,000, didn't look like that, but I don't think it's ever going to look fully full throughout the preseason, only because everybody's getting to the stadium for the first time. So there's people that are, of course, watching the football, but they're also kind of watching, walking around the stadium, trying to see everything that they can. Some people are going to be in there for the first and maybe only time this season. So I think it's more about the experience of getting in there and seeing everything.
Yeah, and while we're on the stadium here, Matt, and you have been out there multiple times. For me, that was my first time this past Saturday. Now that you've had a chance to soak it in, I mean, my first impression, I'm like, wow, this is ours? You're kidding me. This feels like I'm in a major league city here, a city much bigger than Buffalo here. Your thoughts on the stadium overall, because it's taken a few PR hits here over the past week or so.
I think it's a phenomenal experience to walk through there, knowing what was across the street all those years. For people that I've talked to that, maybe don't travel to away stadiums, that got a chance to go in there over the last three occasions, it's been just absolutely positive feedback. And I feel for people. Like, my neighbor has season tickets, and when he was going through the process of buying his seasons in the new place, he saw drawings of what his seat was going to look like, and it didn't show necessarily fully the obstructed view that would be there when he got there. So I could totally understand those people affected by that, like really upset or frustrated. I'm putting that aside. I'm just talking about the entire experience of the stadium itself, from what it looks like when you walk in, the food upgrades, like everything around. The 1.7 mile walk around the stadium with all the different historical call outs. Like, there's so much to like about it. I think whenever you do something this kind of scale, it's going to come with its, maybe points that don't live up to people's expectation. Everybody wants it to be perfect. Like, I don't blame anybody for wanting that, especially when you're paying the kind of money that you paid to get in the building. But I would say for the majority of fans, it's probably a considerable upgrade, game day experience, all those kinds of things. But yeah, it's like anything else. Like, nothing's ever going to be perfect. They just try to get it as good as possible. And who knows, like maybe over the years, some of these obstructed views can be adjusted. I don't know how to, like, I saw some pictures on the 100 level that, maybe they could take out some of the bars, or they can move them in different, like design them a little bit differently. I don't know, like if that's possible, but I think overall, snafus aside, I think the stadium's pretty awesome.
We're talking to Matt Perino, Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard. A little bit of surprise, I'm sure, when you showed up. I'm like, oh, well, there's Keon Coleman in a walking booth. That's interesting. Well, and then you don't know about Skylar Bell, and, hey, there wasn't you didn't see Khalil Shakir. Who does this open up an opportunity for, Matt, over the next few weeks here in the wide receiving corps?
I think you got to start with Josh Palmer to be featured in a way, because like DJ Moore, he was out there today, but I'm curious if he's going to do much in the open practice and the joint practice, and then I don't foresee us seeing him again in the preseason. He had a little bit of something there on that sideline catch, and to come back a couple days later and have him not be in team, I think that indicates that maybe he's going to be in bubble wrap till the season, which I thought he might have wanted to put him in bubble wrap even before then based on what we saw in camp, but I get it. Wanted to work through some things with Josh Allen, but Josh Palmer is going to get a chance to, all right, what can you do when you're out there as potentially the number one, right? Like Khalil Shakir was out today. I'm not sure if it was a vet rest day or not. The Bills aren't giving out that information. That's a Joe Brady prerogative. They don't have to give anything until the season starts. So we don't know if that was a vet day. We don't know if something's bothering Khalil. But like you walk into practice today, Shakir and Moore and Coleman are all out, and you're like, what is going on here? So we'll see what it looks like on Thursday. But it starts with Palmer for me, and number two, Stephen Gosnell is a very interesting guy because if you think about over the last couple of training camps, he has been kind of like Tyrell Shavers in some ways. Like he's a camp darling, maybe not at the same level of Shavers because Shavers had some really big-time training camp preseason performances. Like last year alone, I think his preseason performances got him that roster spot. I don't see a path to a roster spot necessarily for Gosnell, but guys stay out long enough. I mean, if Skylar Bell, if this thing turns into more weeks where he's not able to get out there, now you're talking about like, how much has he done? He's going to make the roster. I mean, he's a 4th-round draft pick. They're super excited about him. But you start to think about some of these other players, and whenever you hear toe with a wide receiver, which is what the reported injury is with Keon Coleman, you get worried because those things sometimes can be nagging. All these opportunities are to say that guys like Trent Sherfield, guys like Stephen Gosnell are going to get loads of opportunities, probably with Josh Allen as early as Thursday.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on what we saw against Carolina on Saturday, because here's the first drive, and then, oh, wow, there's Shakir running freely, open, nice long gain. Oh, there's a nice crosser, and there's DJ Moore running freely. Matt, was that, hey, this is the new look, a new scheme, this is what DJ Moore is part of it? Oh, it was Carolina. I don't know what they were running. It's kind of hard for me to tell, but your impressions there, what you saw from the receivers there in that opening quarter against Carolina.
I think it's a continuation of what we've seen in the in training camp. I mean, Josh Palmer has been one of the talks of camp. DJ Moore has had a highlight every other day, it seems like. I mean, some of the really big-time plays at camp came from him. I thought Keon Coleman had a couple of good games. So, like, for them to go out there and be what they were, I think the biggest takeaway was, A, how much they were moving Keon Coleman around, which is what Brandon Beane and Joe Brady kind of promised this offseason, in that, like, it's felt like a couple years they've tried to fit him into, as a square peg into a round hole, like just, stubbornly wanting him to be this X receiver where, it maybe makes sense to let him be a little bit more in the slot or maybe be a little bit more in motion. We saw a little bit of all of that against the Panthers. And I think that to me is what could potentially unlock Keon in a way, is getting him in different sets, letting him, as opposed to just standing stationary and having to work and win with just separation ability, which is what he struggles with at times, let him get, running downhill in motion and let him use his physicality and his athleticism into play. And then that frees up Khalil Shakir, who I forever have thought that he can do more than just be a slot receiver. I think it's unfair to him to put him in that bucket. He's somebody that gets open. And I think that wherever you put him, there's the ability to do that. And I think we saw a little bit of that. And I think that the Panthers were able to get some pressure, but in the second and third level, they really struggle with this Bills receiver group. And we didn't even hear anything from Dalton Kincaid in that game. I mean, most of the stuff I saw from him when people went back and watched the film was about his work that he did as a blocker, which is good. But I think you want to see Dalton Kincaid involved in the pass game. Maybe that's the next, big thing. And it's a tough matchup out of the gate. I mean, Houston, with their defense, with their rush, that is going to be a challenge, and how the Bills game plan in that game is going to be super interesting. But, Dalton Kincaid to me he's just as important as any of those receivers.
Yeah, Matt Perino, our guest here. Another weapon for the Bills, and I don't want to overlook the fact that, all right, you're hoping that Ty Johnson is ready, and again, you don't really have the context of what he's dealing with. But behind him, Matt, what do you make of this? I don't know if we call it a competition, but if they're actually competing for a roster spot, or maybe it's just a practice squad spot. But Frank Gore against Wheeler here. Who is getting the better of the two right now?
I've long been a Frank Gore fan. It always felt hard to find a way for him to earn any kind of role because of the crowded room in front of him. But he's always been somebody that in the practice setting has run well. He is somebody that you can trust in the passing game. Ian Wheeler's come in here and made that a full-blown competition, which I think speaks to him and his talent and his speed especially, because Frank Gore Jr. has been such a solid number 4 for them for many years now. And so I think this is truly a competition. I think that Frank Gore Jr., answered Ian Wheeler's touchdown with a touchdown of his own against the Panthers. And this is actually sneaky one of the best competitions going. I know it's not for a starting job. I know it's not for maybe even a 53-man roster spot if Ty Johnson gets back. But it's been super fun to watch, and I think Ian Wheeler and Frank Gore are both talented. I wonder if these two guys, and we've seen Gore get cut before, and we've seen him get back to the practice squad, and sometimes you overvalue some of the Bills' talent. But I could see a scenario where both these guys maybe get cut if Ty gets back, and maybe both sign elsewhere.
Matt, you mentioned how DJ Moore. Okay, we know what he is. Put him in bubble wrap. That's fine. Can we say the same about Deion Walker? Oh my gosh, I like Deion. You know what? You work out to the side. Don't need to see anything more. How big a step can he actually take this year, Matt?
I mean, I think he has the chance to be the best defensive draft pick of Brandon Beane's tenure. And that sounds hyperbolic, right? Like when you say that, there's been a lot of really talented guys over the years, but there really hasn't been on the defensive side a bona fide true superstar, like a different that was drafted, right? Like they bring in Von Miller. He had a little bit of a run there before the injury where he was looking the part. Ed Oliver had the breakout year with 9.5 sacks, but even that is a low bar. Like we could have a conversation about what Christian Benford looked like last year and where he kind of stacks up. He's arguably maybe the best defensive player that Beane's drafted. Tremaine Edmonds had a pretty good run. I don't know, man. This guy just feels different. Like what they're asking him to do, they're asking him to be a presence in the run game, somebody that's going to affect in the backfield the running back and the quarterback, be somebody that from the nose tackle position, and I know it's not a true over-the-center nose. They're going to ask him to do different things depending on who earns the other roster spots on the interior. Like they can even get creative and line him up at 4-eye and let him rush the passer. There's a lot of opportunity here, but if you were to tell me that at the end of this season he was a top 30 or so graded run defender at defensive tackle and maybe was top 10 in sacks at the position, would that blow you away or would that make you think that it's impossible? I don't think so. The highs from Deion Walker have been high, and I also am really impressed with the fact that he came in as a rookie, coming off of all those concerns about the back injury, and played 17 games. Like that, to me, durability is just as important a part of it, because Ed Oliver doesn't practice today. We don't know if it was a vet day. We don't know if he's hurt coming off the game. But we did our post-game or our post-practice podcast, and one of the first comments was like, is Ed Oliver ever not injured? Like, that's a part of the Ed Oliver conversation that I don't think exists with Deion Walker yet. And so if he can continue to be available and produce and be that kind of game-wrecking presence, that's everything that this defense has been chasing. Brandon Beane has been chasing for this defense for the last 8-9 years.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard. If that doesn't get you ready, Bills fans, for seeing like Walker and what that defensive line could look like. Kind of along those same lines. That's why I see, hey, that's nice to kind of like that report that Bills checked in on Vita Vea. Matt, where would you put him? Or could we fantasize about maybe Vita Vea going again? Right,
get him and figure it out on the other side. You know who I trust more than anybody to make that call and to figure it out? Jim Leonard. I think from a player perspective, there's nobody on defense that you can be more impressed with right now than Deion Walker. I'm really captivated by Jim Leonard. I think he's one of the more – he's just such a bright guy. He's and maybe like you can't judge a guy by a press conference, right? Mm-hmm. But the way that he talks about his players, the way that he talks about his vision, like he has a plan for how this thing is going to be executed, and he comes out. I know it was only the preseason, but it looks so operational right off the jump, right? And I think that you go get a Vita Vea and you worry about the numbers game on the other side of it, because at the end of the day, defensive line, more than almost any other position, is as rotational as it gets. So even if maybe you want to go out and get Vita Vea and you say, you know what, we don't need you to play 80% of the snaps in this defense. We need you to play 40 for the regular season. And you split nose tackle reps with Deion Walker during the season. Then we get to the playoffs and you want to get your best 4 or 5 on the line as much as possible to playoffs, and now you have maybe fresher players. I say go get good players. I say go, Deion Walker is going to be able to do it from the nose. He's going to be able to do it from 4-eye. I even think he could do it from the 3-tech spot, where you're asking him to really be the winning penetrator and your number one quarterback chaos creator. So I don't know. I just say go get good players and figure it out on the other side.
Go back to you talking about Leonard, and he speaks differently, and every time he's going to have a press conference, I'm going to be making sure I'm pulling that up, because last week for him to talk about the tackling, and almost like in a way he's pointing at the previous regime, and then today to talk about, what did you make of him talking about Terrell Bernard and him wanting to play more freely in his system he's implementing this year?
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder how much those conversations this offseason have yielded frustration on some players' end, right? Like, we don't think about it too much, but like when you come into the league as a player, you don't have necessarily the freedom to pick how you want to play the position. Like maybe you did something at college and, the scheme calls for you to play a different way, and sometimes we don't think about alignment that way and how important that could be for a player to reach their full potential. And, I think about, Josh Allen got so lucky that he came into the league and not only had like a scheme that was built around him, but a coordinator who he was able to build a rapport with, who took his own input in, was tough on him in Brian Dable. And then ultimately the two were able to kind of create music together. And I don't want to, like, hindsight being 2020, just crap all over Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott did a lot of things. Terrell Bernard had a phenomenal 2023 season in Sean McDermott's defense. I just think sometimes, too, when you're playing at the highest level of sports and when you're introduced to somebody that unlocks a new way of thinking for how you do your job, that is powerful in its own right. So it's not necessarily maybe to knock McDermott. It's just maybe Terrell Bernard hasn't thought about playing the position in the way that Jim Leonard sees it. I think about, the Josh Allen comparison. how much did he take off when Joe Brady took over as offensive coordinator, and how they really maximized the run game for, minimizing the turnovers that really plagued him in earlier seasons. Like, just thinking about the game differently, approaching it differently, I think can help you a lot. And I wonder how much Jim Leonard hasn't been a breath of fresh air in that way, not in a negative way for McDermott, just in that it's different.
Yeah, Matt, on the back end, just a few more for you here. Is Kenai Walker on track to be corner 4 on this team? How would you size that up?
It's complicated. So I think this is another one of those situations like 2 summers ago, everybody had Tyrell Shavers making their 53, right? Like you have these UDFA guys that come in and really just impress. Joe Andreessen was one of those examples where he popped, he hit, he made the team. And what was very apparent about that year, linebacking depth was an issue. Right now, boundary cornerback depth is an issue. But here's another way to look at it. I think they view D. Alford as their number 4 boundary corner. And the reason they have the ability to do that is because Jordan Hancock is playing like a starting caliber slot corner. So if they were to get in a bind and they need to, Max is hurt or Igbenogson is hurt and the other one's struggling or vice versa, or maybe they're both hurt. Maybe, Christian Benford has been banged up at different times in his career. They trust D. Alford on the boundary just as much as they do in the slot. I think he's better. He's a better player in the slot, but he's somebody that gives you average level starter play at that position. So I think that's one of the reasons they haven't approached that position differently and like adding a veteran and so on and so forth. But as far as Kenai Walker, to this point, he has done everything he's needed to do. He's checked every box to make a serious run at that roster spot. I just wonder if it's a numbers game at the end. If he's in the conversation, how much is he contributing on special teams? Do they trust him in a gunner role? Can he play all 4 phases? He's not giving you anything in the return game as a returner. So those are kind of those conversations as you're trying to figure out the numbers. They're going to be heavy on the defensive line. They're probably going to keep 12 guys. The Broncos kept 12 guys last year. So that could be 6 edges, that could be 6 DTs, it could be 5 DTs and 7 edge guys. And people probably sit there like, wait, 7 edge guys? That seems so many, but they do so many multiple things. Like Jim Leonard's scheme calls for, like Michael Hoyt, you almost have to put him in a different edge bucket than Bradley Chubb and Greg Rousseau because he's going to be asked to do different things in this defense. So the numbers game is what it's going to all come down to in the end. And all you can do if you're a Kenai Walker or somebody similar to that is, can you do enough to prove your value to where the Bills are actually worried if they cut you, they won't be able to sign you? I think that's what worked in Andreessen's favor a couple years ago.
Ryan Talbot, Matt Perino heading to Cleveland to cover the joint practice, and then I would assume sticking around for the preseason game. So, number 1, who's driving? Number 2, between you and Ryan, who's got the bigger lead foot?
Oh, wow. Don't ask Ryan that question because he might have a story from a road trip to, I believe it was Pittsburgh a couple of years ago, where I might have been trying to get back a little too fast and we had a very close call. So I'd probably get the lead foot award in that department. And I'm actually surprised he gets in a car with me at this point. But I've tried to really dial it back. It's funny. I'm for the most part a really good / safe driver, but for whatever reason on that trip we were just trying to hoof it back.
I picture Ryan with having hands at 10 and 2 on the wheel, right hand lane, obeying everything. Am I wrong?
I can see that being the case.
Yeah.
But he never drives. He never drives in our dealings. So I actually don't have a take on Ryan as a driver because I guess I'm doing okay enough to where he's never just made me pull over and can get out and go in the passenger seat. So I guess we have that going for us.
There we go. So the schedule for the Shout podcast, everything we can check out. Matt, tell our listeners what they can expect here.
Yep. So we have actually, if you're going to Cleveland or if you know a Bills fan in Cleveland, we're doing a live event Friday night. It feels like every time me and Ryan are in a new city, we're doing a live event. We love it. It's called Around the Corner. It's the Bills Backers Bar in Cleveland. Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. We'll do a live episode of the show after the joint practice, but then we'll do a bigger picture, maybe do some fan questions for the live show on Friday night. We can't wait. It's going to be a fun couple days in Cleveland.
Yeah, and when you were here 2 weeks ago, and my gosh, it feels like 2 months ago, right? But Matt, your representation, Lindsay, and I think we're going to collab on something next time you're around here in Rochester, Matt. So
I love it, and I think we're actually going to try to do something in season in the 585. So I'm excited for it.
All right, we're ready for you, bud. Matt, safe travels here, and don't drive too fast, bud. Appreciate it, bud.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right,
Take
thanks.
care.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard and Shout podcast. Oh, there's a lot that we can go back to there. That's an interesting call. Deion Walker, potential to be the best draft pick for Brandon Beane on the defensive side of the ball? Yes. Yes. The signs are there, folks. If he's healthy, and you go back and you read his draft profile, it's like, well, hey, the motor, his pad level too high. Yeah, he was also dealing with injuries when he was at Kentucky. And that forced him to fall to the fourth round. Like, he has the ability, I'm saying this, to be an all-pro. And yes, I understand who plays at that position and who might be re-entering the league at that position. But if he does what he's capable of, well, won't that unlock everything else on the defensive line? Great stuff from Matt Perino. Way over time, but I'm sure you enjoyed that. Tim, I won't cut into your time. Our fine producer, Tim Schneider, who once again dressed up in softball. What time is the game tonight?
It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. All right, so we don't have to worry about you ending the show early.
No.
And legitimately speeding to wherever you need to get to.
My Matt Perino
on.
on.
Yeah, get your Matt Perino on. Happy hour's on the way, which means, all right, we haven't taken your calls. We haven't read your tweets. Let's do all that. Let's have Tim's terrible take. 585-866-4326. We step aside here on WGR Rochester. Rattling your ducks or rise in your heating and cooling bills? Well, if you do, give Belknap a ring. With 0% financing, the cost of upgrading to a high-efficiency dual-fuel heating system is a breeze. Learn more at belknapheating.com. That's belknapheating.com. Go green, save energy and money with Belknap. Schedule a free estimate on your new installation. Give Belknap a ring at 716-688-1728. For more comfort and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring.
We talk sport.
WROCAM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey Sports Station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
40,000 plus at the new stadium to take in today's Bills practice, where folks who went did not see Keon Coleman. He was in a walking boot. It's a foot/toe injury. Back at practice today, Cole Bishop and Maxwell Hairston. Next up, a joint practice with the Browns in Ohio on Thursday. Defensive coordinator Jim Leonard on what's ahead.
You have a new system, and you get guys that have to react on the fly a little bit, because in a practice setting, you're going to see more things than you're going to get in a preseason game. That's the biggest thing, is can our guys just go out there and play with confidence, react to certain things that they haven't studied, they haven't seen, or they haven't repped for a couple weeks.
Red Wings in Nebraska tonight. They begin a series in Omaha. Carlos Rodon returning to mound tonight. The Yankees are in Baltimore. Red Sox once again taking on Arizona. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2, we're flying at you. Welcome. You made it to happy hour here. Thank you for making us part of your day on your ride home. 585-866-4326. Or maybe you're heading into work. Most of us heading home, I suppose, right now. Keon Coleman's your headline story from the Bills today, folks. And it's kind of a bummer because I don't recall, seeing Keon Coleman. It did come up a little, but you're thinking, that can't be much. No, he's in a walking boot. You hear the injury as described by Cameron Wolfe from ESPN, describing it as a foot/toe injury. The toe part has me concerned. Maybe everything will be fine. He'll be out there. But it's from a position right now that, all right, for Josh Palmer, you were brought in here essentially being number 3. Now, here's your opportunity to be a number 3. And maybe Coleman's fine for week 1 down in Houston. But I think Keon Coleman, through the spring, through camp, first preseason game, he's done everything you've asked him to. Like, his character took a big hit in that season-ending press conference. He's made mistakes, for sure, but I think he was on track to be a decent wide receiver 3, which would make him, 4th, or I would say, if James Cook, 5th on the team in targets. Now we'll have to kind of wait and see on that. And if you thought Sean McDermott was tight-lipped about the injuries, may I introduce you to Joe Brady? Joe Brady is not going to – he's going to tell you squadoosh about the injuries on the Buffalo Bills. And from what competitive game? I think he's just trying to set a tone. Like, all right, we're going to tell you as least as we can here about the injuries. When we get to the regular season, he's going to have to list what it is and questionable, and he'll get pressed on this because, hey, the press conference settings, they'll be more than once a week. He'll have to talk on Mondays. He'll have to talk on Wednesdays. He'll have to talk to the national TV folks when he sits down. And so, yeah, there will be opportunities here for Joe Brady to expand on injuries. But right now, he's not. So it's just kind of the new order here for the Buffalo Bills. Bishop back out there today. Maxwell Hairston back out there today. Maxwell Hairston, hey, he says he's feeling in a good spot right here.
Just knowing that what this wasn't nowhere close to what I got last year, so being thankful in that regard, and then just honestly doing everything that I can, controlling the controllables, getting the treatments for my body, getting it strong, and I'm just happy I can get back out here.
Yeah, and all right, so do we see him maybe this week, seeing that we didn't see him against Carolina? I would hope so. Like, put him out there against Shedeur Sanders. Again, the way this will work is ones against ones on Thursday, meaning starters against starters. I would say probably the joint practice is more interesting than the preseason game itself, right? Because I think we're kind of led to assume that we're not going to see Josh Allen and the starters, and you won't see Jared Verse and some of the Cleveland starters there. So it'll be guys that are competing for jobs, and that's just fine. We don't want injuries to come out of preseason games. The other storyline today, and now it's becoming in focus, and I'll give credit to the reporters out there today, including Dan Fates, Buffalo Plus, who showing the video of just like, what is that? A cut coming up. It's like that turf looks too soft. It does. Now, this is something I would think you could fix. And, all right, checks notes. The game was what? 3 days ago? I mean, can we get some extra work in there? Can we get some experts in there? That ground's got to harden up here just a little bit. As, there's just some divots on this field. Christian Benford, and you can tell the players are taking it's a fine line for the players here, talking about the grass field. Here's Christian Benford.
The field was all right to me, but it did have some moments where it was like divoting. It had like a bunch of divots in there, like you had to like stomp on it. I never saw that before. I was just, maybe it's just new field or something. But I mean, shoot, we grew up on a dirt field, so like you just do one of these and keep it pushing. But I like the field. I like the grass. I like it way better than turf. Yeah,
I'm wondering that you have more than a week now. How many days until the next preseason game, Tim? Yeah, it'll be coming up against Pittsburgh.
9
Yes.
times.
Next home preseason game, I should say. You have 9 days now. And can they get this set? Because when the Pittsburgh media comes in, and now it's going to be kind of a storyline, all right, I don't want the stadium, put on trial again. Now it's the field's turn. Look, if you can get the field straight at St. John Fisher University, for crying out loud, figure it out, guys. Figure it out. Bradley Chubb talking about the grass he's playing on.
Get to see what footwork works best in here, get to see how to keep your foot in here. And it's going to come with some trial and error, but at the end of the day, when it's come Thursday night, trying to put the lights down and all that, I feel like we're going to be ready.
Yeah, that Thursday night being in the game against the Steelers. So that's kind of the storyline today where, there were 40,000 people out there, but if you went, you're looking in the stands like, wait a second, this, by definition, that would be more than half full. It's not half full. Well, all right. It's your opportunity to go walk around the stadium. Let me check out. Where is the Parmesan stand for Matty? What's his name? And I love the Bear Show, too. I don't know if he'll be out there at any point. I don't get starstruck, but that would be my one guy. Like, yeah, it's Matty from the Bear. The celebrity chef there from Canada. You've got the deck that overlooks, so you can look out and see the skyline of Buffalo. There's a lot of things that, you want to take the time and kind of look around at that stadium. And yes, probably you want to go up to the upper deck and say, okay, let me just see for my own eyes, like about these seats. Is it an issue for anybody? 585-866-4326 is our number. I have no idea. Before we get to the Tim's terrible take, for all our viewers watching on YouTube, once again, Tim decked out. It's like you have a home and an away and a road. Is this the alternate?
This is the old primary. So
old primary. Oh my gosh! Like you are. Well, you're decked out in your Brewers gear, and I wish you well in this league where after you got waxed last night.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
We have to establish the rules here. So again, not that I'm one to do self promotion. Yes.
Sure you are.
You're sure I am.
I believe you.
Yes, we are the award-winning show here. We won the New York State Broadcasters Association Award for Best Sportscast, and this was for our coverage at training camp last year, right? So you put in the tape, and it takes that long, and hey, and the award ceremony is coming up in September. And hey, it's going to be, even though we all kind of work together, Danger's not on the show anymore. Well, he'll be there. I'm sure he'll be in a suit coat and a nice shirt, just as I will. I would think that Dandelion and Max, they will look good. Derek, you are not showing up in softball gear, no Guardian gear or Bonnie gear. I mean, I've seen you once in a suit, and it was goofy. It was a holiday suit, checkers, and in true terrible time fashion, like, hey, everybody, I'm dressed up. So can you wear something nice to this luncheon next month?
Yeah, we've got 6 weeks. Maybe we should do a segment where we go shopping together and you dress me.
Maybe we'll go to Goodwill. I'm sure we could find
Goodwill
something.
Suits? Sign me up.
Like that's, just one day.
Yeah,
That's all
I
we
can
need
dress
to do.
up. I just we're on the radio. I don't have to dress up.
Okay,
but
no.
In a public setting, I can freshen up for you.
I would think so. Like freshen up, shower.
I will do that as well.
No ball cap. All right.
That's going to be tough. I'm losing it up here. This is
boo-hoo. Yeah, welcome to the club.
I'll be there. I'll be there joining you very, very soon.
Well,
probably sooner than you think.
Maybe that's where. Maybe this is the, as they say, the come to Jesus moment when it comes to your hair, right?
Yeah,
come home, right?
As
they call it.
I've got less than a year, and I'm holding on to it for dear life.
I don't think that's your take, but again, we're the award-winning show here, and now the not so award-winning segment.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
You're a legend, by the way, Brandon Trivina. He's so funny. I looked up and I saw that picture of him in the Bonnie gear. I'm like, yep, that's Tim. So you have at least one fan.
I appreciate all of my fans, and I appreciate you as well. Before I get to my take, can I ask you a question?
I'm scared, but go ahead.
No, that's okay. It's a real one. The word inevitable was used earlier by Roger Goodell and you in a negative connotation. My question to you is how inevitable, or it feels inevitable, how quick into this joint practice will there be a skirmish or a fight, and who do you think will be involved?
Oh, that's, gosh, let's go over. The chalk pick would be Spencer Brown, but he's matured a little bit. We had two guys fighting today. I don't know, the new fullback. I don't know even they use a fullback this year. Your guess is as good as mine, Tim. Like, I hope we don't have any of that.
But there will be, right? It feels inevitable.
No, I'm going to say no, because honestly, if you're just going in there, I don't have any hate for, unless somebody's really running their mouth on both sides. I'm going to say there's no fights Thursday. No fights.
Interesting. My take is we're ramping up to week 0 here. The football polls, the college football polls were just released the other day. He actually just recently released an album called The Diary of a Polarizing Figure. Pat McAfee is getting hate for something that apparently isn't even true. Lee Corso retired last year at 90 year old. He's been doing the headgear thing. He went undefeated in the last broadcast of his career last season. A rumor I came across my feed yesterday that he is going to be taking that over, and he was met with so much hate that he had to actually respond to it. Everything he does, people hate him for, and my take is they're wrong. Pat McAfee is actually good for sports and sports media, and the reaction that people have for him, the hate, the disdain for Pat McAfee is wrong.
Okay, that's your opinion. I don't particularly like Pat McAfee. He's just the new generation of takesman. Like, has he taken over the spot that Skip Bayless had? Skip Bayless seems like, okay, that is from a decade ago.
Well, that's the thing.
And so for Stephen A, it seems like Stephen A has political aspirations. I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves here. This might be, him talking about whatever is hot in the NFL, the NBA might be beneath him now. Where McAfee, look, I don't have any respect for, like, hey, he gets Aaron Rodgers on every week. Yeah, because he pays Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I'm not a McAfee fan.
I don't I guess that's why this is my terrible take, I suppose, because I feel like you are in the majority in that. And for me, I find him entertaining. And I think it's because he loves to be hated. And I think that adds an element to what he does.
Look how he dresses. He doesn't do like the tank top thing anymore, but you're kind of, I don't know if it's an FCC approved word, but it begins with a D. You're kind of a,
sure.
You're one of those guys. Like, hey, stop with dressing like if you're presenting yourself like that on television. Looks like you just likes the fight guy, or you're just kind of jerky, I guess.
Well, he is definitely a jerk, but yeah. I think him being okay with being hated is what makes him so polarizing.
Thank you, Tim. Do I give him a passing grade on that? Because I don't agree with that take, but that's the whole premise of this. And it's really kind of just drawing into focus, hey, we're really ready. If we're debating stupid stuff like this for College Game Day or whatever, I think we're ready for college football. I think it would behoove college football to make week 0 the actual starting week. Like week 0, what is on the calendar for week 0? Week 0, U.S. Open, Little League Baseball, and whatever baseball has going on right now. Oh, the one baseball note? I just passed this on. Apparently, if you haven't followed, so Arizona isn't a team that we talk about, but they do have a manager that's a big Bills fan in Lovello. And they are a team that not too long ago actually made it to the World Series. And some of those pieces remain. And they have a good hitting shortstop in Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte, last year, all of a sudden went AWOL. They couldn't find him. Okay, this is a little concerning. What's going on? And then finally, they had to kick up the rhetoric like, hey, you're going to get fined. We're going to go to the Players Association. And he's like, oh, I have a personal thing. It's in the Dominican Republic. It's like, okay, well, we have protocols like that. You just can't take off from the team and then, hey, you're not in the lineup. Well, apparently the same thing happened last night in Boston where Marte goes with the team to Boston, and it's, hey, has anybody seen him? Where is he? Let's call him. And then now Lovello's got to talk to reporters, and clearly he looks bothered or upset. And it leads you to wonder, okay, what is really going on here? And this is just speculatory on my part, but I'm going to draw an analogy here. Ready? And the analogy is this. It's from a show. Have you ever watched The Flight Attendant?
I have not.
Okay, The Flight Attendant is this kind of, it's this fun show about this flight attendant who drinks too much. Oh, it turns out she has an alcoholic, and she's aware that. Well, the point is, like, I think in Hollywood, they sensationalize alcohol. And what this Netflix show did was like, holy cow, you want to show somebody falling off the wagon? Well, here's what it really looks like. Ugh, good Lord. That's like, okay, yeah, it's not pretty. And if you're driving on the way home, I don't mean to strike a nerve. Do we sensationalize mental health? Meaning, we're all for it. Everybody's for it. Yes, take a personal day. Yeah, but what is it really? What are we really talking about? And I don't know if that's the case with Marte, but just seeing Lovello just kind of upset about the whole situation, like, wait a second, what is really going on here? And there's a lot of people waving their finger and saying this is bad, and I'm just wondering, is there actually more to the story here? And the more to the story is, and I don't know if this is, kind of cover for it or not, Marte went back to Arizona to get an MRI. So that's the latest on the story there. But just a random thought that, like, hey, you know what? Yes, absolutely, we take mental health seriously. But you know what? Let's not sensationalize. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's take a break, and your call's coming up here. 585-866-4326. If you like Pat McAfee and want to just call us and say, yeah, Tim's right, I really liked him, you can do that. Wouldn't suggest doing that. My name's Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
So
950 WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman in a walking boot. He'll be out for a while. It's a foot/toe injury. Cole Bishop, Maxwell Harrison on the positive side. They're back at practice today. Harrison says he's in a good spot.
Just knowing that what this wasn't nowhere close to what I got last year, so being thankful in that regard, and then just honestly doing everything that I can, controlling the controllables, getting the treatments for my body, getting it strong, and I'm just happy I can get back out here.
Next up, a joint practice with the Cleveland Browns in Ohio coming up on Thursday. Rochester Red Wings begin a series tonight in Omaha. All the action in the majors under the lights tonight, including the return of Carlos Rodon to the mound for the Yankees. Yankees are in Baltimore. Max Fried, by the way, going on the IL today. Red Sox tonight hosting Arizona. The Mets hosting San Diego. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard, this is WGR Rochester.
You know, we go to break and more people saying, Tim, they like you. They think you're funny. Peter, here's what Tim is wearing for the banquet. It's somehow, if you go online, pictures from the Atlantic 10 tournament, and you just Google St. Bonaventure fans, Tim will pop up. How do you know it's Tim? Okay, very easy. A banana. You're not dressing as a banana, right? Although, have you played softball in a banana suit?
No, I've worn other costumes for like Halloween tournaments and stuff, but the banana suit was a suit to me, not a costume. So,
Greg writing in, Gene, just so you know, I'm a Womp Thump fan.
That's me.
That's you. You know what? Aren't we all? 58586. Thank you, gentlemen, for listening. But again, they're not agreeing with you on your wrong take that McAfee's good or he's good for sports. And I'm not coming from a place of jealousy or anything. It's just not my style. That's not my.
He's not for everybody. I will acknowledge that, but I don't think that he's a detriment to sports media.
Well, look, if I'm him, like, you're on midday, like I'm just not to be rude, but like it's a different time of day when Wilbon and Kornheiser are on, or when they were doing the Around the Horn show. Like, if McAfee was on in the evenings, I wonder if the shtick would be a little different. That's all. 585-866-4326. Changing the percentage here, Tim. So yesterday, we're looking ahead, and I think we all can agree, all right, like, Aaron Judge is not going to shut it down for the season. He's going to, at some point, return to the Yankees. The Yankees are going to be a playoff team, right? They might be nestled into a wild card, fine. But when do you get him back? And he's been cleared to throw. Well, yesterday on the show, I'm just looking ahead. Scranton comes in on Labor Day, that first week in September, which when the schedule came out, I'm like, oh, come on. Back to school, usually that's some of the best crowds of the year. Thank you, International League. For bringing Scranton first week of the season, in April, and then you get him back, or was it even March? Regardless, it was like, all right, not in the prime time. Well, okay, September 7th. You factor in everything. Okay, Aaron Judge, would he actually go on a rehab assignment to face live pitching rather than go to the spring training complex? If so, would that time out? Would they want him going to AAA? Would he actually maybe go to AA Somerset? I put it at 10%. You put it at 15%.
Yeah.
I'm now downgrading that to 1% chance we'll see Aaron Judge in the Flower City because this afternoon, Aaron Boone talking with reporters saying, hey, Aaron Judge has been cleared to start swinging the bat. All right, so you swing the bat this week, and then maybe by next week you're still feeling good, and you start to take some, pitches and ground balls and baseball activity. It's hard for me to see, barring a setback, this taking more than 2 weeks, right? Like, could you get him back by Labor Day weekend at that point? But you want to make sure that everything is kind of going along with that. So that's the news from the Yankees today. Fried back on the IL. Rodon back tonight. Again, this American League, as we pointed out, it's kind of crappy. It really is. Like, I'm not this Rays believer that, reclamation projects. It's just a slightly, it's a 500-ish league. And we're going to end up with some team like, wait a second, how did Houston get to the World Series? Well, if you're a Yankee fan, that should be the expectation. In a league where everything is kind of, you may be down on your offense, but understand you haven't had Aaron Judge. You haven't had Bellinger. Put those bats back in the line. Stanton, whatever you get from him. But at this point, if you get the pitching, yeah, you can be right there. Now, when you get to the World Series, I can't help you there. Like Milwaukee, Cubs, I don't even say the Braves. Certainly the Dodgers, because I think the Dodgers, they're not flawed. They're just bored. There's a difference. Those are 4 teams right there that would say, all right, whoever the American League puts up, they'll be favored in the World Series. 585-866-4326. Funny how, like, you would think in the days of scheduling things that we would have full college basketball schedules, and we don't at this point. Part of it is, all right, you got to get with your TV network partners, and we only came out with the NBA schedule officially last week, and a lot of these markets, the NBA, big-time programs have to share dates. One of those venues, one of those big-time markets doesn't get any bigger than New York, right? And at Madison Square Garden, the Garden is owned by the same owner who owns the Knicks and the Rangers. So if you're Rick Pitino and St. John's, you get what you get. You want to play at Alumni Hall in Queens, or you want to play on the big stage here? Oh, by the way, we have concerts and everything else, so you get what you get. So what's exciting to me is Syracuse and St. John's. Any taste of the Big East, that's what we want. And, yeah, Pitino, St. John's, I don't know who's on the team this year, but I can tell you they'll be paying them. They'll be good. And with Jerry McNamara, we're going to have a honeymoon period. It's not going to be like last year where, like, all right, we're just looking at our watch. Can we wrap this up, please, with Autry? The Syracuse-St. John's game, though, does not come on a good date. It comes on an NFL Sunday. Sunday, November 15th from the Garden at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock? Oh, come on. Now, kind of a sidebar, November 15th, and I know some of you Bills fan sickos instantly, wait a second. Bills in the Meadowlands. Why? Okay, if the game was like at 8, that would have been a really fun turn. I don't think you're making that turn. Honestly, I don't think you can get out of the Meadowlands and navigate your way into the city. I'm not really familiar with the trains and public transit that go, but honestly, you kick off traffic, everything else. I don't think you're making it in time. Now, Syracuse St. John's, that's a game I would want to check out. Would you do it over an NFL game, though? Because, yes, you're a Bills fan if you're listening to the show, or you're an NFL fan. You could be the contrarian Dolphin fan or Cowboy fan, and that's fine. What game do they have on in the late afternoon window? Well, it's a Fox game, and it's 49ers at Cowboys. 49ers at Cowboys, McNamara against Pitino. Maybe the Niners are this team that falls off the map this year. Could be. They've got a lot of travel, and they've always been this team that we regard in playing above their head, right? But it's a really tough division, and maybe by that point, it's not as an attractive a matchup. So give me the whole Syracuse schedule, please. I always make it a point to make the one game, and lately it's been over the holidays because really it's tough to get out there on a weeknight. And I announce RIT hockey, and by doing so, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not going on a weekend either. So Syracuse St. John's, that'll be fun counter programming. Maybe that's one where, all right, you're getting the multiple monitors out on a Sunday in your home, or you're going out for that one. 585-866-4326. Funny how you had Aaron Glenn downplaying Breece Hall yesterday. He's out 2 to 3 weeks. It's a groin pull. We'll talk to Dr. Charlie Schumann tomorrow, because that was one injury that, all that soft tissue stuff right now, it just seems like that's going to put you in a bad spot for the regular season. That stuff always scares me, like something will nag you, and it's not going to quite heal. And if you're a Jet fan and you're bummed out about that, remember the purpose of your team this year. Ready? It's to lose games. It is to tank. You don't want the Jets giving you false hope. We lived in this era for 17 years for the Buffalo Bills. It was called the drought. And sometimes it was fun. Hey, we almost got to the playoffs, but we lost to the Steelers' backups. Hey, Drew Bledsoe's throwing the ball all over the place. Hey, Fitzmagic, that's a lot of fun. It never got you anywhere. Living in that 500 nebulous is not the way to find a quarterback. The Bills tripped into it with some planning, for sure, because it's so ironic that, hey, the year they actually do find the quarterback, they made the damn playoffs. So maybe I'm contradicting my own point here, but the best way is actually to pick at the top of the draft. And when they gave Breece Hall that money and Garrett Wilson the money, I'm like, what are you doing? What that bleepity bleep are you doing? Those should be the last pieces. And skill players, I'm sorry, they grow on trees. You can find them. Like, it's tougher to find parts on the defensive line or a shutdown corner. And ironically, you've had some of those over the years. Have you not, Jet fan? Revis and Sauce Gardner. And, hey, Quinnen Williams. Boy, he's going to look good in cowboy gear next year. But you paid skill players. So where the Jets have some pieces around them, like, no. The idea that you kept Aaron Gladden. Why? Well, yeah, I just view him more as the sacrificial lamb than anything at this point. 585-866-4326. Great show we had today. We talked to Matt Perino, hour number 1. Highly, highly recommend. I haven't checked, but if it's not up already, Francesco will have that up on wherever you get your podcast in bite-sized form, because talking with Matt Perino today, to hear him just gush about Deion Walker, what you are seeing from Deion Walker, your eyes aren't lying to you. Like, that was against Carolina first stringers, and let's get him out of there. I don't need to see Deion Walker against the Browns this week. I certainly don't need to see him against the Steelers. Can you get Deion Walker to a place that we haven't had here in the Brandon Beane era, meaning a defensive superstar? Is he one in the making? Yeah. Matt Perino's very, very high on Deion Walker. As am I. 585-866-4326. Last call is for you. We've got the Bills topics on the table. Are you concerned about the field? If you just want to compliment Tim on his fine choice in clothing, we can do that as well. Gene Battaglia here. This is the Sports Bar.
Sports Talk in the Flower City. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, I thought about, just for a half second, I could be all kitschy here. Welcome back to the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia with you. Last call here at 585-866-4326. Just say, hey, the Buffalo Bills are bringing in someone who was on the Tampa Bay defensive line last year.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
And no, it's not Vita Vea, but this is a real story. Greg Gaines is his name. So Gaines has been in the league, for quite a bit here. Started out with the Rams 2019, was on the Super Bowl roster, and then, as we mentioned, with the Buccaneers each of the last 3 years, he was on the street, basically. The Bills releasing Tommy Akingbestode. What does this mean? I'll tell you what it means. So this new defensive tackle that they just picked up, Greg Gaines, he's a nose tackle. So who do you not want to see over the next few weeks? I don't want to see Deion Walker. I don't need to see Deion Walker. For Dwayne Carter, Dwayne Carter, I want to see, Dwayne Carter, can you outperform somebody that literally has experience in the league but hasn't been with us the whole time? Interesting kind of move for the Bills today, just to kind of tweak the bottom end of their roster. And let's be honest, gives you another reason, I guess, to tune in Saturday afternoon. Bills and Browns. That's another 1 o'clock affair. And if all goes right, you're not seeing Josh Allen. You're not seeing DJ Moore. But somebody that you maybe even heard his name until I just mentioned it, Greg Gaines, defensive lineman. Is this just kind of back-end roster, or does he have a real shot to make the team? Well, and bringing him now, I'll just say that. If it was 2 weeks from now, I'd be like, no, this is somebody that, or say next week. Players that come in next week, it's like, okay, you're just here basically to play in the fourth quarter against the Steelers, and then we'll pat you on the head and send you on your way. I think Gaines has a puncher's chance here. You need to see more out of Dwayne Carter. 585-866-4326. That is our phone number. As baseball tonight, if Rodon comes back in for the Yankees and just delivers a good performance against the Orioles, well, then everything should be fine. But I'm curious, what the vibe in Baltimore is going to be, because as we pointed out, this is the American League where literally everyone is in the playoff hunt here. And right now, for that last playoff spot, the Orioles were off last night. Detroit beat Pittsburgh. Texas also won. There's a 3-way tie right now. It goes Yankees, Red Sox, and then 6 games behind the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Rangers, and the Tigers. And then the Twins and the Jays are only a half game back. And your Guardians are 1 game back.
They all stink.
I think they all stink. They're all below 500. I'm the commissioner of sports, that old Greenberg thing. You don't have a winning record. You not in postseason. The end. That's how I would, kind of determine this. Do not put a team with a losing record in the postseason. But hard for me to imagine. But if it ended today, yeah, it would be a losing have we ever had that in baseball? I don't think so, Tim. I think it would have been a statistical impossibility until we went to the expanded format. Tim is frantically looking at the Googles. Have we ever had a team with a losing record in the baseball playoffs?
Yes.
Oh, well, okay.
Okay.
All right. So what? Is it the strike year?
No, the COVID year.
Oh, that doesn't count.
29-31 Houston.
29-31. That doesn't count. I guess it counts. I suppose. That's
it though.
The
Padres went 82-80. That's the worst record of a division. They won the NL West at 82-80. That's the worst playoff record.
What year was that?
05.
05. Huh. I don't even how much the Padres made an impression on me. I don't remember that at all. Funny how that division's changed, right? 82-80. Matt Perino was fantastic on the show today. Download the Odyssey app if you haven't already done so, because there's a lot of other cool things you can check out there, including Odyssey Mets baseball. People are like, why don't you pick up the Mets? You know what? Just download the app. and you can listen to it in Rochester. It's absolutely free. Mets, hey, you got to throw me a bone here, Tim. 10-13. We've won here for the Mets. Best record since the trade deadline.
They're going places.
Yeah, sure we are. Like everybody else. Thanks to Matt. Tomorrow on the show, Dr. Charlie Schumann will talk about some of these NFL injuries. Hey, filling in, Francesco doing a great job for Dan DeLorean. Appreciate his fine efforts. For Tim Schneider, who I found out today has a lot of admirers here in the sports bar. My name is Gene Battaglia. BetMGM coming up next here on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester. Have a good night.